please lie on your back. And I'm pretty sure you've read some passages from Elusive Obvious. I remember seeing that somewhere in your synopsis. So I'm just going to remind you of, read the first paragraph from Functional Integration, which may link in to something of your experience from that last process. Functional integration turns to the oldest elements of our sensory system: touch, the feelings of pull and pressure, the warmth of the hand, its caressing stroke. The person becomes absorbed in sensing the diminishing muscular tonus, the deepening and the regularity of breathing, abdominal ease, and improved circulation in the expanding skin. The person senses his most primitive, consciously forgotten patterns and recalls the well-being of a growing child. So now I didn't speak to all of you, but somebody said that they both felt more enlivened in the side that was touched. That was not an FI, but it was for process for paying attention to the quality of your connection, how you meet the person, how you listen, and how you disconnect, and how much influence you have once you are connected in that system. And without that quality of listening, FIs can be very good still, but I'm not sure they're as potent. That our nervous system won't retain what is unlikely to retain what doesn't feel safe or what feels like a strain or a push. So please lie on your left side. Raise your right arm and your right leg into the air and move them in opposite directions, the same amount, the same rate, one forward, the other backward, feeling how you can use your left side for stability. And what can you do through the center of you to make your limbs feel lighter? Pause a moment. Then bring your arm and your leg back up towards the ceiling. And move them footwards and headwards together, as if you have a stick between them, and notice if it feels a little easier than when you first began this morning. So your arm is long, it's not bent in the elbow, it's not stiff, so your hand could be hanging, but your elbow is not bent if it's possible to straighten it. Doris, just see. Okay, it's not easy. There you go. Is that okay? So that's straight, that's bent. Okay, yep. Is the other side any easier? Okay, so rest more frequently, okay? Come down, rest. So if it's difficult, if you feel the effort in lifting your leg, means that there's something that you're going to learn about through the middle of yourself. Isn't that exciting? You feel heavy, it feels difficult? Yes, good. Got something to learn there. So come back up, and this time bring your right arm and right leg to the ceiling. This time begin to move both of them towards the floor in front of you, and then towards the floor behind you. You can have your left hand under your head When we tend to what's happening with your left side in the floor, how is that involved? Can you gradually go further and further towards the floor behind you? You can adjust your left leg in the process so it shifts to stand on a different place on the floor, and feel how you involve your head. Next time you go over to your right side, could you stay there, hanging out there with your right leg long on the floor, your left foot standing? So your right foot is to the left of you, as if the wall to the left of you is the ceiling, and your right arm is on the floor. So your arm and leg are pointing in much the same direction. Your left hand is behind your head. So we're just revisiting, reacquainting ourselves with some of the things that we were doing this morning. So unless you're doing the other side, you will now be lying with your right arm and your right leg pointing to the wall where the urns are. Urns, coffee, tea, coffee cups. So in this orientation, could you move your right arm and your right leg towards one another and away from one another? What can you do with your head to help? So you know that gritting your teeth doesn't help. You know that smiling, if it doesn't immediately make the movement lighter, will change the tonus in your face and neck. And your left hand can help lift your head, move it through space. So you're coming towards one another, your hand and your foot are coming to meet each other, not away from each other. They're not going in the same direction. They're going in the opposite direction. So your right hand might slowly come to connect with your right leg, somewhere around your knee, somewhere around your shin. Next time they're more or less parallel to one another, leave them pointing out to the right and roll yourself back onto your left side. Reach them up towards the ceiling as you come back onto, and then just go back onto your back. So roll back to your back again. Can you leave your arm and leg pointing towards the ceiling? And then reach them up and roll onto your left side. So you're rolling from your left side. You're rolling from your left side onto your back and back onto your left side. And feeling how the reaching of your leg and arm upwards in the direction of the ceiling can help roll you back. Next time your arm and leg towards the ceiling, could you grab hold of your trouser pants or your sock or something with your right hand, and then roll yourself back to the floor to the right of you and come back. Come back on via your back up. So your arm and leg reach towards the ceiling. Can you go all the way to the other side? So your foot touches the floor to the left of you and to the right of you. Great. Then leave it and rest on your back. Please roll over and lie on your right side. Raise your left arm and leg towards the ceiling. And explore a few movements, so the different variations we've done, so that your arm and leg move a little in opposite directions several times, feeling how your right side changes its contact with the floor. A little in the same direction, forwards and back of you, feeling how you roll over your right side, what happens on the left side. Put your right hand underneath your right cheek, then move your arm and your leg as if you have a stick between them, a little downwards and upwards, letting your head follow. Maintain the same angle between your head and your arm while you're on your side, while they're pointing to the ceiling. So if you're on your back, that instruction is going to make less sense. If you're lying on your right side, it's going to make more sense. That your right hand, elbow, could help lift your head. It changes the relationship of your ribs, your chest to the floor, your shoulder girdles, so that your head can lift as your arm goes footward and as your leg goes footward in the same direction. And now roll over and put your left arm and left leg on the floor to the left of you. So they'll be lying on the floor, and the foot and your fingertips will be pointing in the direction of the toilet room, a toilet side wall to the left of you, and see if you can rest them on the floor there. Urn side, cup side. So rest with your arm and your leg on the floor on the left side of you. Well, you're on your left, you could be on your back. It depends how differentiated your hip is. But your left arm and left leg are on the floor, facing the toilet side wall. That's now the ceiling. Leave them there. Keep your right foot standing, your right knee towards the ceiling. Put your right hand behind your head and move your left arm and left leg towards and away from one another, gently to begin with, to remind yourself of what needs to happen through the center of you, along your left side and your right side, how your hand can help your head move through space in a way that allows your spine to be more flexible, more bendable in the direction that you're intending to go in. Can't hear you. Yes, well, you recognized it. That's great. We give that a little clap too. That's called awareness of what you're doing. And that's a big achievement, because so often we can keep doing what we think we're doing and we're not doing what we think we're doing. Our reality doesn't match what we're thinking, our thinking. So we're moving them in towards one another, not the same direction, towards and away from one another. The next time they're towards one another, could you stay there? And could you hold some part of your pants leg, your shin, your leg, if you hold behind your knee, pay attention to keep your leg as comfortably long as possible. Your knee can be bent, but you don't want it to be bent at 90 degrees. I think most of you can do this without bending your knee that much, but we'll see. Keeping hold of your leg, what could you do to roll back towards your back? What could you do to make your leg feel lighter? Think about taking your back backwards. The top of your pelvis rolls backwards, and there's and then go back again. Bring your leg and arm to the floor. There's an opening of the lengthening of the right side of you so that your pelvis tilts backwards and moves downwards away from your ribs in order that you can mobilize your abdominal muscles to help bring your back to the floor so that you roll across the back of your pelvis. Could you roll all the way over next time you lift your leg? So roll yourself, touch your left foot to the floor to the right side of you, then back through the middle and to the left side of you. Back and forth. And then leave it. Lengthen your legs, lengthen your arms, and rest a moment. So another little quote that I wanted to share with you that unfortunately I don't remember the source, but it's called I Walk Down the Street. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes me forever to find a way out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe it. I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my fault. I get out immediately. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk, but I walk around it. I walk down another street. So we were rolling, holding our left leg then. Could you roll onto your right side? Left foot standing. Get hold of your right leg somewhere, pants leg, below your knee, behind your knee, with your right hand, not your left hand. And then roll yourself back. See, how can you find a way to use the middle of yourself and the ground behind you to bring your leg away from the floor, to lighten your leg? It's all in the center of you. Well, actually, it's not. Where you have your left leg will make a difference. So if your left leg is not a standing leg, if your left leg is to the right of you, it's biasing your pelvis in that direction. So try and lift your leg now. But if you have it as a standing leg now, and you take your pelvis backwards, then you organize yourself through the center. Your leg gets lighter and lighter and lighter. Walk down another street. Is that next segment? You're all walking down different streets than I saw you walking down last week. Rest a moment. Lie on your back, bend your knees. Bring your right leg towards the ceiling. Put your right hand on the outside of your right thigh, left hand on the inside of your right thigh, and begin to stroke down your leg with your hands, as if you wanted to really listen to the texture the shape, the volume of your leg. So that if you were going to be required to sculpt your leg after doing this, you would be able to. And you can lift your head a little bit as your hands go down your leg. So lift your head as your hands go down your leg. And then lower your head as your hands come back to the top of your thigh. So your head is lifting when your hands are below your knee. So here we have a interesting turnaround. Your leg is above you. But the directions are in relationship to oneself. So you lift your head when your hands are sliding upwards on your leg, which is downwards towards your foot. How's that to make crazy making? What? Your head is lifting when your hands are sliding in the direction of your foot, not back towards your thigh. So your hands, the lifting of your head helps your hands slide further because your shoulders come away from the floor. Your chest changes its shape. Your back leans in a different place. Okay, put that leg down and bring your other leg above you, foot towards the ceiling, left hand to the outside of your left leg, right hand to the inside, and begin to stroke upwards. Up your leg towards your foot. Yes, it is towards the ceiling too, but this lesson you're wanting to bring your attention to your leg, to the shape, the length, the distances, and what your back needs to do in order to slide your hands towards your foot. Pause a moment. You remember you can pause whenever you need to. Bring both of your legs towards the ceiling, over your belly, comfortably long, comfortably apart. Put your right hand on the outside of your right leg, your left hand on the outside of your left leg. Did I say left thigh? Begin to slide. That's an interesting combination. Slide both hands upwards, away from the floor, in the direction of the ceiling, but towards your feet. Here, you're more likely to need to lift your head, or you could let your head hang backwards. Remember in the lesson in the first week, we were playing with the shape of the neck and what that enabled through our spine. Could you hold on? Next time you reach upwards, could you hold on? Your pants, the cuff of your pants, I don't know what you call it, spread your legs wide and begin to roll yourself, holding your feet to the right and come back. Could you only go so far as you don't fall? Bit late for some, but that's okay. Babies fall too. So it's about how can your legs, how can you drive yourself so that your legs know what your other leg is doing, and that the center of you organizes the movement. You need to be aware of your neighbors, and as you roll to the right, your left leg could reach upwards and outwards and get longer towards the ceiling. Then as you come back onto your back, roll across your back, your left leg could go up towards the ceiling. That's it. But you've got to let your legs cooperate. So If you hold one of your legs stiffly when you're trying to do something with the other leg, it's a resistance. It's a moment of inertia. Yeah. So as you roll towards your right side, could you move your head towards your right knee? And as you roll to cross your back, feel how you round going onto your back. You bring your head towards your left knee. Maybe you could even, the leg that is uppermost. So if you're going to the right, your left leg could reach forwards and downwards, the whole leg, as your head comes in the direction of your right knee. And as you roll to your left side, your right leg lengthens forwards and downwards as your head comes towards your left knee. Oh, you might even find your shoulders and head coming away from the floor. But there's a timing and a coordination. In the air? No, it does not need to have to be in the air. But for most people, it will be close to the floor or in the air. Okay, rest a moment on your back. Please roll up to sitting. Sit with your legs in front of you, knees towards the ceiling. You're standing your feet on the floor. Could you put your right hand behind your right knee, your left hand behind your left knee? So you want to have your feet standing. So feet stand. Have your thumbs with your fingers. If it's really easy for you to be in this position, hold your wrists behind your legs. Notice the distance between your head and your knees. You're going to keep that distance the same. Lift the front of your feet away from the floor so you rest on your heels, and then slide your feet away from you and then slide them back. Don't go so far that you can't come back. So hold your wrists, Ryan. Your head, your legs are going forwards. Your head maintains the same distance. Your nose is like a stick, divining fork, one end in your mouth, one end on each knee, and your head maintains that relationship. And you lift your toes away from the floor, you rest on your heels, bend your ankle, and then slide your feet away from you. So it's not about lifting your feet away from the floor. This is very much about what's coming next. So it's away from you with the front of your feet lifted. So you're resting on your heels while you slide them away from you. So keep your toes up, keep your ankles bent, and if your mat's too hard to do it on, you might want to get an easier surface. Okay, so the next time your legs are semi-long, as long as comfortable in front of you, let go with your hands behind your knees. Take hold, put your hands on top of your legs and slide them downwards. And see, can you reach the cuff of your pants or your ankles? It's much harder. Where we're going next, if you're holding your feet, it's harder. Spread your legs a little bit. So hold your pants. If you're comfortable, could you begin to rock yourself so that you shift your weight more onto your right sit bone, as if to lower your right elbow towards the floor on the right of you, and come back. And come back. And do that a few times. Could you do that in a way that your left leg begins to leave the floor? So if you're holding your ankles, you might want to hold all fingers together on the outside. Otherwise, grab a bit of pant leg. Yeah, like that. So start with your legs a bit more spread. Feet, yeah. And then you're rolling down towards your right. See if you can bring your right elbow to the ground, lower your head, and feel where's the moment where your left leg could lighten on the floor, and then come back. How do you come back? Yes, if you can. Can you come back in a way that your left leg is reaching, it's as if it's lengthening downwards and away from you. And it's that lengthening of your left leg to the left and away from you, away from your pelvis, is what brings you back up to sitting. Brings you back up to sitting. So it doesn't take you down there. It lifts as you go down, lifts away from the floor. So as your right elbow goes to the floor, your left leg lifts away. As you come back, that's it. It pulls you back. So try it to the other side. Maybe this is your easier side. I can send you that, or have you already done it? Okay, please leave it, rest on your back. Please bring your legs above you, so the soles of your feet towards the ceiling. You can hold behind your knees or your ankles or your pants leg, but have your legs comfortably spread and begin to roll towards your right side and come back. So if your hands are behind your knees, have your thumbs with your fingers. And keep on rolling more and more to the right side, thinking of bringing your head towards your right knee and your left leg downward and away from you, so that if you find the timing and the rolling and the organization through the center of you, so that you can fold over your right hip joint, you might find yourself rolling up to sitting. Go a little bit, come back. This will be one of those lessons that you might need to continue to play with, not because you haven't learned well, but more because we've rushed the lesson a little bit. So try next time you're on your back, try rolling the other direction. And don't think about getting there. So this lesson, what do you think it might be called? Rolling around in circles? Yeah, that most people would understand that, except there are quite a few rolling lessons that roll you around in circles. So there's, pardon? Baby roll, yeah, that's another one that does. So this one in particular is about, it's about the same fundamental organization through the torso and of the hips and legs moving through space, but it's asking you to roll with long legs, which is more advanced in a way because it requires, you might want to move away from the pillar. Good job. Away from the pillar. It requires a lengthening of your hamstrings that can happen functionally as a consequence of your organization, not because you stretch them. Rolling up with that. Yeah. So that's what, so it's nested. So this movement, so Sue's just had a discovery. She rolled up to sit and she hadn't done it before and her knees are folded. They're not long, but that's what we were doing last week. So this lesson folds back in, and if you were to put your hands under your kneecap and play with rolling side to side and up to sitting, you might find it even easier. So try that. Put your hands under your kneecaps. So lie on your back, put your hands underneath your kneecaps, not behind your thighs, underneath your knee, below your kneecap. Below your kneecap. Front, yes. Comfortably spread your legs, not behind your knee. That's behind. Below your kneecap. Where's your kneecap? Your kneecap is on the front of your leg. So below the kneecap usually means on front of the leg. And now comfortably spread your legs and begin to roll from side to side. Go gently. And remember, in this lesson, there was, what's the distance of the upper leg from the lower leg, where you could move it in an arc with your head turning, your nose turning down towards the floor, and your upper leg moving downwards and away from your lower leg, while the lower leg moves a little bit even towards you. Yes. So these rolling lessons really highlight, are an opportunity to, and it might be something for exploring between segments, the pathway of the head through space, the pathway of the feet or the legs through space, that the feet trail on the floor, really indicate the organization through the center of you. Can you do it without jerking up? So now just for a minute, whichever way you prefer to do, roll holding your ankles, roll holding your knees, roll holding your feet. Which way would you like to explore? For your pleasure. If your legs are long, you can also hold below your knees. Behind your knees, sorry. Behind your knees. And that means if you're holding behind your knees are able to bend at any particular moment if you haven't quite learnt the coordination, the lengthening of your hamstrings or the coordination of your torso over your hip joints while you move through space. But often it's just a little hint of the direction, yeah, that you need. So it's something to play with your study buddies, because commonly we forget one element. So this movement combines moving through space in an arc, big sweeping arc. But there can be moments in space where we skip parts of ourselves. Oh, and some people have realized they could roll around and around. Yeah. So if you want to see, watch the, yes, look at Chelsea and Becky up the back. The movement of their head in space, how it goes to the floor. There's still a rounding of the lower back. Yep, a saying hello with the legs. Can and there's a counterbalance kind of thing that happens with the upper leg where it reaches away and it pulls through the shoulder, through the skeleton to facilitate the turning and lifting of the shoulder girdle. Ooh, now they're doing a synchronous. Yep. Okay, lie on your back. And I'm sorry, I did say I might finish at 1:15 and I didn't. But take a moment on your back. And sense your relationship with the floor now and see if you can be satisfied with the feeling in yourself. Because of what you achieved for you, not just today, but over the last 10 days. For how engaged you were in learning and being open to new experiences, to getting a little lost, to finding yourself again. And how good it is to have some study buddies and some upcoming things where you'll reconnect again, and that the floor is always there for you to explore yourself and to rekindle some of the experiences for yourself. So when you're ready, you can roll yourself to one side, bring yourself up via sitting, up to standing. But take a moment before you gather your things to really sense what's the impression on your nervous system, on your organization in standing from this lesson. How do you feel the weight on your feet? Do you feel lighter or heavier, taller or shorter, softer or stronger, or both? And then turn a little in one direction and just notice how well do your feet know what your head is doing now, and your head knows what is happening in your feet? And is there a clearer connection, better communication, more of you involved than you sensed earlier? Last week, beginning of last week. Then a little to the other side. And then when you're ready, walk a little. And notice what sensations of movement are present in your walking. Sometimes it can be that we notice an absence of sensation. So then that's an opportunity to contrast to what it is usually that we feel there. But as you depart, continue to sense yourself, what you notice, to soak it in, appreciate it, because the more you do that, the more you take it with you, not leave it on the floor behind you. As much as we love learning with you and have enjoyed 2 weeks, we don't need you to all stay on the floor. So take it with you, enjoy your learning, travel well, safe.